All right, today we're going to talk about some command stuff. With promotions coming up, we thought it'd be a great idea to send out a short little video to show you how to run the simulation software that we have and to hit some high points on things that you might want to cover. So when I send out these sims, it'll be a link in your email. When you click the link, this is what's going to come up. Okay, at a later date, we'll be able to do sims with each other across the stations and whatever else. But in the meantime, just click the link on the sim, and this is what will come up. Push start sim, and this is what you will see. Notice down here in the bottom left, you have these buttons, have these arrows, and you have this one button right here in the middle. This button in the middle we'll get to in a little bit. This left button will walk you around the structure clockwise, and the right button will walk you around counterclockwise. Okay? So, when you're dispatched, make sure that you confirm the address. Okay? If the address is 123 Main Street, hey, engine 1 is clear 123 Main Street. Okay, engine 1's en route. Engine 1's on scene, and this is where we need to do a couple things. We need to establish command. Not only do we establish command, but we need to name the command. So, engine 1's on scene, establish Main Street command. Okay. It doesn't always have to be the street name, but 99% of the time, the name of the street is going to work the best. Okay. Now we need to provide a description of what we see. So we'll call this a 2-story residential structure. We have smoke showing from the eaves and a dormer. If you look right here, you can see that it's over a basement. Okay? Make sure that's in your description. So 2-story over a basement, or 1-story over a basement, whatever it is, if you can see it. If you don't see it until you get around to a different side of the structure, that's fine. Okay? Just make sure everybody knows that if it is over a basement, that it's over a basement. Now, we also need to pay attention to details as we're doing our walk around. Okay? Right here, there's going to be a gas meter. So that tells us right off the bat that there's natural gas on this house. Okay? We're going to do our walk around, B side, C side, and here's the delta side. Here we see our power meter. Now, judging by this meter box, this door right here is going to be the main shutoff switch for the entire house. Okay? If you look right here, we've got overhead power. This is not underground power, it's overhead. Okay? So everybody needs to know that we've got overhead power on the delta side of the structure. Okay? These details matter. Now that we know we have gas and we have power, then now's a great time to go ahead and start any additional resources that we might need. Dispatch, start the power company. Dispatch, start the gas company. We've got a working structure fire. Start utilities. Also going to need, if you need law enforcement for traffic or anything else, you might need them for the homeowner. You know, they may be trying to go back inside the house, or they may be having a fit out in the yard. You never know. So, now we got that out of the way, we need to decide whether or not we're going to be offensive or defensive. Now, me personally, if this is what I pull up to, we're going to be offensive all day long. Okay? If you decide you want to go defensive, that's completely up to you. However, your tactical priorities need to follow the acronym of RECOVS. rescue, exposure, confine, extinguish, overhaul, ventilate, and salvage. Okay, RECIO VS. Make sure you hit all of those priorities. And when it comes to water supply, as a testing skill, if you are not told where your nearest hydrant is, assume that it is in the front yard. Get your own water supply. If you are not told where it is, you may be told there's a hydrant 200 feet before the structure or 100 feet past the structure. You may be told that. However, if you're not told that, assume that it's in the front yard. Now, when it comes down to tracking your crew and assignments, I always like to use the command board that was on the truck, okay? If you choose to use your own command sheet, that's fine. Just keep in mind, it has to be approved well before testing, okay? Again, I prefer to use the command board on the truck, but that was just me. Make sure that you establish RIT. And it does not matter who is established RIT. It doesn't matter if it's engine 5, 7, squad, ladder truck. It doesn't matter who it is as long as it's established, okay? Same thing with your backup line. It doesn't matter who does it as long as somebody does it, okay? So make sure if your crew goes in the front door, say you sent your crew in the front door with an attack line, whoever you want it to be, make sure they pull a second line and as a backup line to the front door, okay? Now when you transfer command, you need to give a CAN report. CAN stands for conditions, actions, and needs. You need to let battalion know what the conditions were when you got there, what the conditions are now, and what crews that you've got doing what. If you've only got one crew, and if you've got a crew inside fighting fire, battalion needs to know, hey, I've got engine 1's inside fighting fire, engine 7 to the primary search, we still need to do a secondary search. I've got engine 5 doing RIT. Whatever the people are doing, that's what you need to pass along. Now is also a great time that if you, oh crap, I forgot to start the power company. We also need to start the power company. Now's a great time to catch up on anything you forgot. If you've got a crew operating in the second story and you hadn't thrown a secondary means of egress, now's a great time, but we still need to throw a secondary means of egress, okay? So your command presence needs to be calm and organized. You need to give clear and appropriate assignment. So if you're freaking out on the radio, that's going to elevate everything on scene and those coming in. Okay, if you can be freaking out on the inside, that's fine. But as long as your voice is calm and you're clear in what you're saying, you should be fine. Should be. When you give assignments, make sure you give definitive assignments. You can't say things like, oh, I need somebody to do a primary search. Nope, that's not going to work. You need to, if you decide you want engine 5 to do a primary search, engine 5 and engine do a primary search. It's clear, concise assignments, okay? So let's talk about this button right here. Whoever's running the sim, the way this simulation is set up now, there's a button here, there are buttons all over this thing. We've only got these 3 set up in this simulation because we wanted to send out an easy simulation. This button right here is going to escalate things. So if we hit that button, there's going to be an explosion. You can call it whatever you want. If you want to call it a smoke explosion, a meth lab, it doesn't matter. We've had some sort of explosion that blew the windows out, and now I've got this fire going here. Okay, when is that going to happen? Depends on who's running the sim. Now this button right here, the way this one is set up, is going to make things better. Okay? If things in your simulation are not getting better, you're not doing something correct. Okay? So drop back and punt. Think about things that you should have done Start from the beginning. Start with your ACO VS and go from there. So if anybody has any questions, please let us know. There'll be more sims coming out in the future. But again, if we can help with anything, please let us know.